Hello, how are we all? How are you getting on? Sean Ferrick here for Trek Culture, and it's that time of the week again where we're going to go through all of the ups and downs for the most recent episode of Star Trek Prodigy. Let me start by saying, to those of you who celebrate, Happy Thanksgiving. To those of you who don't celebrate, may I recommend watching the bit of Addams Family Values where they put on the play at summer camp. If you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen it, go watch it now. Thank you everyone who likes, shares and subscribes. We are this close to our 250,000 subscriber target. So thank you so much. Please continue sharing these videos. Yous are all awesome. Now let's get to it. So, we are up to episode 15 of season 1 of Star Trek Prodigy. This episode is called Masquerade, and it kicks off with one of the best laughs I've had in a while, so this is an up from me. Stardate, who cares? I'm sorry, that one got me so much, because look, I like a Stardate as much as the next person, but that one, I just giggled so hard watching that. Dal's captain's log, it sets up obviously very quickly that Dal is feeling a little bit of jealousy toward O'Connor. Listen, I have a bit of sympathy for Dal here, because O'Connor is your traditionally roguish, handsome man. He kind of has an air of authority. He has an air of, yeah, I've been there, yeah, I've done that. But for everything that we've seen up to this point, he's not sort of, up his own backside. Do you know what I mean? Like, he seems to be genuinely there to help people. Oh, we'll see if that lasts, won't we? Of course, the Protostar is still being hunted down by the Dauntless. I'm loving all of these gorgeous shots we're getting of the Dauntless. If only there was a company who was still making models of these ships. Oh, come on, somebody else is going to pick it up really quickly, and then I will be able to play with the Dauntless and I'll be a happy man. What we see, what had me giggling and smiling and going, because we knew it was coming, up. Admiral Jellico returns. Oh, this is good fun. So yes, Ronnie Cox reprises the role that he made famous back in Chain of Command parts 1 and 2. And honestly, I don't think anyone was really expecting this. So we've known for a while now because it was announced at Star Trek Day, but I think this was a proper surprise for people out there, because wonderful as Jellico was, you're kind of thinking, if someone said, I wonder if they'll bring Jellico back, well, you might think, oh, Star Trek Picard. You know what I mean? How does he react to, well, Picard in general? We'd love to see maybe Riker face off against him again. I wouldn't have put him in Prodigy. And yet, it works. It doesn't surprise me whatsoever that he's reached the rank of Admiral, because there's so many discussions on this. Did he do anything wrong in Chain of Command? Sure, he was a hard ass, but was he wrong in his actions? So yes, himself and Riker, they clashed straight away. That's because Riker was so used to Picard's command style. Jellico, very different. He wanted the 4-shift rotation. Bear in mind, that was brought in DS9. They operated on a 4-shift rotation. So, I mean, he wasn't wrong, and he was the right man to face off against the Cardassians. I think, yes, I understand him being decorated. And rising to the rank of Admiral. Now, he's a 4-star Admiral, which means or a 4-pip, I should say, which means he outranks Vice Admiral Janeway, which allows him to say, under no circumstances are you to go into the neutral zone. Because, of course, as you recall, they're parked right at the edge of it, because that's where the Protostar escaped to last week. He's able to say, I don't really care what's going on here. You are not to break the treaty. I mean, frankly, all they do is wait a couple of years, and there's not going to be a Romulus anyway, so they don't need to really worry about it. But in the meantime, yeah, I absolutely loved hearing Ronnie Cox back again as Admiral Jellico, which is why this will probably not be a shock to anyone. Latinum up of the week. Just after Janeway's call with Jellico, and she ends it, there is... Now, normally, of course, I save these things for citation observations, and yes, I will be mentioning it there, but there's no way that the model of Voyager is not getting an up this week. I mean, isn't she pretty? It's been so long since we've seen Voyager. bearing in mind, Endgame aired in 2001. Oh, it's just pretty to see her back again. Sorry, big Voyager fans over here. Dal is fantasizing on board the Protostar of, well, accidentally airlocking O'Connor. And I have to say, I had just, because it's exactly the kind of adolescent daydream that would happen. And I have to say, yeah, it's an up for me again. I know I'm coming thick and fast with the ups this week, but that one really got me. Yes, it seems like such a harsh way of treating O'Connor, but at the same time, totally understand where Dal is coming from. Again, that is a testament to how far Dal has come as a character. You'll probably all remember that in the first few episodes of the season, I struggled a bit with Dal. You know, I get it. He was on his character arc. He was on his hero's journey. He had to learn humility. I do get that. But sometimes it's hard to kind of sit through that. We've gone through that. So now we've got to a stage where I understand Dal's insecurities because he has grown as a person, and seemingly this perfect person just walks in and steals all his thunder. So I absolutely get that. And again, kudos to the team here, and kudos to Brett Gray, who absolutely plays a blinder. Yeah, I have to say now, it's good. And also, knowing where we're going to go in this episode with Dal's insecurities, it really worked for me. Yeah, there's a little back and forth between Dauntless and Protostar, and you know, we've still got those gorgeous warbirds there from last week facing off against the Dauntless, because apparently the neutral zone only applies to Starfleet. This is something we've talked about several times before. It's, you know, the Romulans really don't give a hoot. And basically they do that thing where, you know, well, we're going to test you, because how far can we push you before we're going to go to war? Under no circumstances is the Dauntless to cross the neutral zone. 3 warbirds are parked there going, go on, I dare you, go on. However, you know that they're thinking of going after the Protostar. We all know they're thinking of going after the Protostar. Ensign Essentia says as much to Vice Admiral Janeway. Basically, if we're thinking of it, they're thinking of it. I'm struggling a little bit with Admiral Janeway because ideas are being presented to her as if she's never even considered them. The Janeway that we remember would probably be 2 or 3 steps ahead of this. It's a shame because we've waited so long for the return of Janeway as we remember her. Frankly, and I think maybe a positive thing here, frankly, hologram Janeway is much closer to the Janeway that we know and love. Whereas Admiral Janeway, and perhaps this is because Admiral Janeway has spent however long sitting behind a desk, perhaps there's several reasons, but I must say I am struggling a little bit with Admiral Janeway in this season. So once again, I must down Admiral Janeway this week. We're going to fire a whole bunch of torpedoes at the Protostar rather than let it get captured. Now, tactically, don't get me wrong, in theory, I understand that. Really? It's the only option you thought of? You know, that's my issue. That is my issue. And when we have hologram Janeway, who's so good, I think that's why it stands out so much. That's why Admiral Janeway gets it down. Because hologram Janeway is there doing a much better job. So, yes, I am struggling a little bit. I have made this point a couple of times. Fortunately, I'm still feeling this way. But I am always optimistic that next week's going to be the week where I turn around and say, I love Admiral Janeway. Big answers this week. For example, what the bloody hell is Dal? So we go to Dr. Jago's lab, which is great. That's who O'Connor was there to meet. Handy out. And then also, you know, straight away, Dr. Jago's like, oh, okay, yeah, I can tell you straight away what Dal is, and we haven't known what species Dal is since episode 1. We're all a little bit excited to find out just what species is from, so it's a little bit surprising when the answer is all of them. That's right, Dal is basically a collection of DNA samples from 26 different alien races. Oh, I'm part human, and basically Dr. Jago says, yeah, I mean, not much though. Like, you know, you've got everything else in you as well. And oh, we're getting a shout straight away to Cannon Watch.
Hello, Sean. This is Sean Blass for the Galaxy Truth Network, and we're here to talk about the Prisoner Program. We discovered this week that the 26 species that make up Dal include species 8472, Ferengi, Hirogen. We see Q in there. To have access to these DNA, The proteges of Arik Sung must have had access to these aliens. Now we know that the last time we saw Arik Sung, he was in a Starfleet prison. Does that mean that that prison was able to contain Q, Species 8472, Vidian, and other Delta Quadrant races as well? What else has Starfleet been keeping from us? What else has Section 31 had a hand in? We will bring you this breaking news as it comes. Back to you, Sean.
Well, this week Sean Blass got there ahead of us, didn't he? So, yes, 26 different alien races making up the DNA of Dal. And honestly, I understand his questions. Dal was Tars Lamara. He was in the Delta Quadrant. Okay, how did Arik Sung's proteges... Now, let's be fair and say that years and years and years ago, so proteges, that doesn't necessarily mean, listen, I was literally working with Arik Sung, but it means they're working from the teachings of Arik Sung. Let's say that, a few hundred years have gone by, to be fair. How did they get access to, I think the big one is the DNA of a Q. Vidian, of course, we've got Species 8472. Now, Dal is a teenager, so let's be kind and say Voyager brought home a lot of the Delta Quadrant, the scans on file. Okay, so let's be fair and say that one. Fine. So that means that Dal was then created and shipped back to the Delta Quadrant. We know he traveled with Ferengi for a little while. Okay, it's a little bit confusing in terms of timelines here. It was a question that's so kind of in your face confusing that I have to down it this week. Not so much the reveal of the different alien species making up Dal. That's not my issue. My issue is that, hang on, when are we? What's going on? How did he get to Tars Lamora? So, but what I will do, right? I am downing that. I'm afraid it stuck out a bit too much. But if I get a satisfactory answer to this, I'm going to take that down back. It stuck out for me too much this week in the episode, to the point where it took me out of the episode because I was like, oh, cool, loving all of the alien logos and symbols. Stick around for station observations. We're going to run through them, but how do we get them all? I think particularly the one you can probably guess, the one that's really sticking out for me is the Q. Like, he's got Q DNA in him. He's a god. So that to me is just like, that's a big thing to just kind of drop in the background, because again, it's just one of the symbols. We'll take it back if it's a satisfactory answer. I will say this, good luck. That's going to be a hard one to explain away. Not saying they can't. The rest of the episode sees Dal, he's offered the opportunity to bring out some of the stronger, components of his makeup. And although he initially turns it down, of course he says yes straight away. Now, Dr. Jago is able to, give him a small device on the back of his neck that then he's doing backflips. He's smarter. He's like, okay, all right, yeah, I'm seeing the, genetic augmentation here. We're getting a little bit of, the old Bashir, a little bit of the old Khan coming out here. Okay. Then, of course, it goes a bit weird because they're attacked by the Romulan operatives. And suddenly you've got Klingon ridges are coming out on his forehead. And he was talking about the war and everything. He was like, oh, okay, all right. Not too long later, he's got Andorian antennae. He's got Tellarite teeth sticking out. We get the pointed ears and he's talking about logical assumptions. It's good fun. And also, I do like, stand by what I said, but I do like they play with the makeup of Dal, that we get a little bit of all of these alien characteristics coming through. Now, it does allow him to beat the Romulans for the crew of the Protostar, when during this, O'Connor scampers off down. I kind of thought O'Connor was being set up to be a better character than that. I like some of the references, but again, I don't struggle, I guess, with the fact that O'Connor isn't as brave. I just thought, oh, really? So unfortunately, yeah, that's a down for me. Did enjoy the scene overall. I like seeing new Murph, basically go slightly postal on these Romulans. That was good crack. Enjoyed that. Enjoyed the whole scene with the big massive elevator in space. Really enjoyed, all that, yeah, all that good. Down O'Connor. They get back as far as the Protostar, which has been at least infiltrated by Romulans. And, the Romulans take out Zero, they take out Jankum, they fire disruptors, if you like, at Hologram Janeway. It's like, oh no, don't do that. Stop taking over ships with a kind of a pointy saucer section. Now, I haven't forgotten the Prometheus yet. The Dauntless is there firing torpedoes. Thankfully, they're, deflected. We kind of have the Dauntless both looking after the Protostar and also trying to hunt the Protostar. And yeah, that kind of tracks with Starfleet history, I won't lie. They get back aboard the ship. Dal is able to have his implant removed. It was more like, it was a bit of fun, but also a little bit of understanding of, look, you are not just the components within you. You are Dal, you are all of these things. And I like that a lot. Back aboard the Dauntless, we get a couple of quick reveals in succession. So first of all, I am giving an up to that reveal of Essentia. I did not see that one coming, and I like that one. I like that one a lot. So she also has traveled back in time, and it makes perfect sense. Don't just put all your bets on one temporal operative. Yes, the Diviner did a lot, sure, but don't hedge your bets on just one. So that was a great reveal for me. Also, the return of Dreadnock. Very, very happy about this. Okay, so yeah, I don't think it's much of a shock when I say I love Dreadnock. Really scared the piss out of me in the first half of the season. Delighted to see him back. So that's kind of this episode. Advances everything. We find out the backstory of Dal. So that's it is what it is. I do like the fact that we now know. I will say that. We get the reveal of Essentia. We get the reveal of Dreadnock. I am on board with all of these things. So why don't you take a walk with me to Cetacean Observations? We have an M-class planet, we have Admiral Jellico, we have the Voyager model, we get a shout out to the Kobayashi Maru, we get those warbirds sitting there, space elevator, that reminds me of episodes like Rise, and of course visually it reminds me of Star Trek 2009. We have a shout out to Arik Sung, who of course appeared in the final season of Star Trek Enterprise, Dr. Jago, who I think is clearly a reference to the Hageman and Aaron Walke's other shows, Lego Ninjago. We're going to go through this chart. So, the different alien races that make up Dal. We've got Cardassian, Ferengi, Breen, Romulan, Q, Ryzian, Vulcan, Dominion, Andorian, Suliban, Riemann, Species 8472, Hirogen, Tellarite, Vidian, Klingon, Gorn, Orion, Zindi, although they don't specify which one, Sona, Krenim, Bajorn, Human, and Organian. And I have said Vulcan already. That is a lot. Now, I've definitely missed a couple there. I was just going by identifying the logos. So I'm missing 2. They say there's 26. So please let me know in the comments below. We see that these Romulan operatives are using the Romulan rifle first seen in Star Trek Picard. Now, there is text in one scene that has just Ross written down the side of it. I choose to believe that's a shout out for Admiral Ross. Just saying. Now, there's of course references to the events of the episode The Outrageous O'Connor, where they talk about the Jewel of Thesia and the fact that he was trying to bring 2 lovers together. So, yeah, so why'd you run away? A much more obvious reference to Trek 09, when the Romulan operatives, they basically jump off the space elevator, they're doing their anti-grav suits, like, that, to me, pretty good reference to Trek 09. We get a shout out to the Tal Shiar, of course, and then we see that, that double-pronged disruptor that showed up in Star Trek Picard as well. Also, at one point, we see alien puppies. Oh, it's not Cetacean Observations. I'm just giving it up. That's everything for this week, folks. Thank you so much for watching along. What did you think of this episode? And what do you think of the season overall? Let us know. Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget, you can get in touch with us on Twitter, at Trek Culture. You can get in touch with us on Instagram as well, at Trek Culture YT. You can catch myself at Sean Ferrick on Twitter. And you can catch me at Sean.Ferrick88 on Instagram. And I'm now on Hive as well, at Sean Ferrick. You can catch Chris at EditChrisEdit on Twitter. Everyone, thank you so much for watching along. Like I said, let us know what you thought. Thank you everyone who's liking, sharing and subscribing. Yous are all bloody legends. Yous are wonderful. Everyone in Ukraine who is watching this, and just to our friends in Ukraine in general, keep going. Stay strong. It is incredible what you are managing and what you are doing under these circumstances. Thank you for showing the world just how strong you are. Likewise to our friends in Iran, just outstanding bravery is on show. Everyone please continue to spread the message of what's happening, because a lot of these people can't share that message. Everyone, we will be back next week as usual. Make sure that you look after yourself in the meantime. Make sure that you live long and prosper. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving if you celebrate. Make it so. Make it so.